Father's Day is just around the corner, and you know what that means. It's time for you to find the perfect gift for dear old dad. Let's be honest, gifting for dads can be a bit tricky, and that's why I'm here to introduce you to today's sponsor, Ridge Wallet. This is the ultimate solution for your Father's Day gifting needs. Ridge have one of the biggest sales of the year for Father's Day, and trust me when I say Ridge is the last wallet that you or your dad will ever need. I mean, why settle for bulky, outdated wallets when you can have the sleek and slim design of the Ridge wallet? And look at this. You can hold 12 cards in here, although I have 3, like a normal person, 3 bank cards. Well, 2 bank cards and an ID. Easy. Say goodbye to that old dad wallet that made you feel like you're carrying a brick around in your back pockets. And the best part, Ridge comes in over 30 colors and styles. This one is burnt titanium. Another one that I've used previously is the carbon fiber. Very nice. They've also got something called burnt Damascus, which I don't have, but I'll definitely check out at some point. But wait, there's more. Ridge also have the key case, which is the perfect companion to the Ridge wallet. Even the style matches. This is the carbon fiber one. And basically, it's like a Swiss Army knife for keys. You pop them all in here one time, very easy, and then all of your keys are easily accessible. No jangling around. Ridge has over 50,000 5-star reviews. People absolutely love it. When you purchase the Ridge key case and wallet together, you can get up to 30% off your order. It's the perfect Father's Day gift combo. In fact, they're so confident that you'll love it, there's a risk-free trial. You can test drive it for 99 days, and if you absolutely don't love it, just give it back to them for a full refund. Plus, they've got a lifetime warranty. Don't miss out on this incredible Father's Day deal. Head on over to ridge.com/shadows and save up to 40% until June 15th. Remember, to get the best offers, make sure to use my link, ridge.com/shadows. That's ridge.com/shadows. Thank you to Ridge for sponsoring, and now today's video. Walking into any high street pharmacy or disabling your computer's ad blocker for more than a few seconds will more than likely expose you to a bewildering array of so-called smart drugs. The promises made by the advertisers of these drugs vary greatly. However, they almost always center on improving alertness, concentration, or relaxation. While these over-the-counter stimulants are usually harmless and vary in effects from nothing at all to providing a very slight caffeine buzz for an hour or so, some of the tablets that can be purchased over the internet are prescription-strength drugs that can genuinely alter your brain chemistry. But just how effective are these stimulants? Is there any risk of addiction? And are they, as often claimed by the people selling them, completely safe? Well, let's find out together as we take a look at the latest craze that's spreading across the globe: smart drugs. So first of all, what exactly are smart drugs? Well, according to the Encyclopedia Britannica, smart drugs, also called nootropics or cognitive enhancers, are a group of pharmaceutical agents used to improve the intellectual capacity of persons suffering from neurological diseases and psychological disorders. For example, patients suffering from dementia are often prescribed donepezil, and those suffering from ADHD, that's attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, may be given methylphenidate, more commonly known by its brand name of Ritalin. Whilst both of these drugs have been proven to be effective at things like improving concentration and memory, the former by preventing the breakdown of acetylcholine in the brain and the latter by increasing dopamine production, it has become more and more common for people who are not suffering from any medical conditions to use drugs like this to improve cognitive function in their day-to-day lives. According to research carried out by The Telegraph, 1 in 12 adults have admitted to experimenting with smart drugs. The majority said that they did so in order to improve their performance in the workplace. And it's not just at work that people are feeling pressured to overperform. The number of students around the world who admit to using such drugs, such as modafinil, Ritalin, and Adderall, all of which are prescription-only substances and should absolutely not be attainable without a prescription, has increased every year since 2017. According to one student who spoke to The Telegraph on the condition of anonymity, quote, "I just get smart drugs off my mate. They're quite easy to get a hold of at university. Like most people know someone at least who is selling them." Another said, "I feel like when it gets to exam period, you need those extra couple of hours in the library. They can come very handy. I do it to get the grades that I want to get." So, are these drugs as easy to come by as our anonymous students would have us believe? Well, the simple answer to that question is yes. Although we have no intention of providing the actual websites, less than 10 minutes of basic research turned up 4 different sites, each of which promised to sell us at least one, and in some case all of the 3 drugs that we previously mentioned. There is, of course, no way of verifying whether or not these drugs are what they claim to be, one of the many drawbacks of illegally ordering prescription drugs over the internet, but they were all highly recommended on various student forums and by a former drug dealer who agreed to speak with us. Although taking a tablet and being able to stay awake and alert for hours and hours might appear to be the answer to the prayers of procrastinating students everywhere, in reality there are a number of questions that need to be addressed. Firstly, could the use of smart drugs be considered cheating? There are several schools of thought on this. On the one hand, some people argue that if using stimulants like smart drugs as an aid to revision counts as cheating, then more readily available stimulants such as caffeine should also be considered cheating as well. On the other hand, others will argue that these two things are in entirely different leagues. The second argument that does appear to be the more cogent one. Whereas caffeinated beverages or caffeine tablets such as Pro Plus can be purchased pretty much anywhere with no questions asked, any student who chooses to use, say, Ritalin, a Class B substance, which is illegal to possess without a prescription, is actively choosing to break the law in order to obtain an advantage that his or her fellow students may not have. Whilst it is perhaps understandable that some students might choose to take the risk, especially in light of the current job market, it almost definitely could come under the heading of cheating. Another argument often put forward by the pro-smart drugs campaign is one that is much harder to argue against and has its roots in the inherent unfairness of the higher education system as a whole. Given that the quality of your education could vary significantly depending on your financial status, then the use of smart drugs could actually help to level the playing field. If what we're striving for is a completely fair higher education system, then a poorer student who elects to take smart drugs is at a huge disadvantage compared to a student who can afford to pay extra for one-to-one tuition. The proponents of this particular argument claim that it would be unfair to ban one without banning the other. It would appear that, albeit incredibly slowly, some universities are beginning to crack down on the improper use of prescription drugs. Although no educational establishments within the United Kingdom have as of yet explicitly banned their use, the University of Edinburgh has claimed that the use of such drugs violates its Code of Student Conduct, which prohibits the use of unfair means in assessments. Meanwhile, in the United States, at least one establishment, Duke University in North Carolina, have issued an outright ban on their usage. Whether or not other colleges and universities will follow suit just remains to be seen. The next thing that we need to take into consideration in order to properly analyze the effects of smart drugs is whether or not their usage is actually safe. Although they're not the only drugs that are used in this context, for simplicity's sake, we're going to stick with the 3 most commonly used: modafinil, Ritalin, and Adderall. Although all 3 of these drugs have undergone the necessary testing to allow them to be prescribed in both the US and the UK, the majority of that testing was carried out in order to ascertain their suitability for treating various conditions. At present, very little research has been carried out with regards to their effect on perfectly healthy individuals. While such studies as have been carried out do indeed appear to show short-term cognitive improvement, long-term use can lead to complications such as depression, anxiety, fatigue, abdominal pain, insomnia, high blood pressure, and addiction. Nevertheless, Cambridge professor of clinical neuropsychology and global expert on cognitive-enhancing drugs, Dr. Barbara Sahakian, has very publicly argued that providing the proper research is carried out on the effects of these drugs when taken by people who don't actually need them, it would be far safer to make them freely available rather than forcing students to purchase them from questionable suppliers online. In an interview given to The Independent, she said, "I think the government should look at the front-runner drug that people are using as a cognitive-enhancing drug and actually get together with the drug company and assess whether it's safe and effective for people to use. If it is, then let them license it and maybe sell it in boots and have people have the useful information about the side effects, and then they could go to their GP before they take it." Sadly, although this idea does have its merits, at the time of writing there is no indication that any such collaboration is underway. Although we briefly mentioned addiction in the list of side effects, it is worth considering in a bit more detail. Human beings, as a species, have an incredible propensity to become addicted to almost anything, whether or not it's actually chemically addictive. Just to provide a bit of insight into how much of a problem this can be, as far back as the inception of what we might call today legitimate medical testing, there have been examples of subjects becoming addicted to placebo tablets for no other reason than their brains believe a certain benefit is being provided. So again, looking at the top 3 smart drugs in current usage, just how addictive are they? So let's start with Ritalin. There is no doubt that Ritalin is an addictive substance. The manufacturers even go as far to include addiction warnings in the documentation provided with the medication. And if that wasn't warning enough, it's also categorized as a Schedule II substance by the US Drug Enforcement Administration. That means that, quote, it has a high potential for abuse and dependence. Prolonged misuse of this drug can lead to the development of a tolerance to its effects, which can, in turn, lead to accidental overdose as the user consumes more and more in an attempt to recreate the original effects. As one of the more serious side effects of an accidental overdose is death, a condition that's been categorically proven to reduce productivity in both university and workplace environments, the risk of addiction is perhaps something to which those considering taking these drugs without consulting a medical professional should give some serious thought to. And it's a similar story with Adderall. Not only is it highly addictive and therefore incredibly difficult to give up, the process has actually been likened to giving up heroin. Taking large doses of Adderall can lead to serious medical complications such as cardio and respiratory failure. That leaves us with modafinil. Produced under the brand name Provigil in the United States, modafinil, although believed to be less conventionally addictive than the others, still carries moderate to serious risks if abused. Listed as a Schedule IV drug, which means, quote, it does have the potential to be abused and it may cause physical or psychological dependence in some individuals, modafinil was found by one study in the Journal of the American Medical Association to have a similar method of action as drugs like methamphetamine and cocaine. Although it is less addictive, less likely to produce long-term serious medical conditions, and has less short-term side effects, its actual usefulness as a smart drug has been called into serious question. According to recent research, taking large amounts of modafinil can cause unpredictable behavior and actually make the user more prone to being distracted. So, what should we take away from all of this? Although occasional usage of these drugs to obtain a short-term boost is probably unlikely to cause any serious medical complications, like any stimulant, there is a risk of addiction. Whether or not the use of these drugs can be considered morally or ethically acceptable is, of course, a much more contentious issue. Although some universities and workplaces are taking steps to discourage or outright ban their usage, it seems very likely that this will be a hotly debated topic for years to come. The world being what it is, we would not be at all surprised if it is the topic of many highly publicized legal cases over the next few years. However, without the existence of much more extensive data on the effects of these drugs on healthy individuals, it's not currently possible to conclusively prove whether or not occasional short-term usage has the potential to lead to long-term effects. For now, though, you're probably best off sticking to the time-honored study aid of several pints of black coffee.